All right, Jim Mora out at UCLA after 6 seasons, 46-30 record, but just 2 games over 500 in the Pac-12. We bring in Tony Siracusa from Last Word on College Football. Tony and I just spoke after UCLA's loss to USC 28-23, a mixed bag of major gaffes, but also strong play against a quality opponent. And here we are just a few hours later, Tony, talking about the coach getting the shown the door at UCLA. Not a big surprise to either one of us, but was the timing a bit of a surprise to you at all?
Yeah, I'm actually stunned by the timing. To put it in context, we had taken care of our morning commitments at Last Word on College Football, got out our top 25 poll, did all the things we were going to do. I was in the car pulling out of the driveway when I got the word that Mora had just been fired. I could see it coming at another time, but I couldn't see it coming now. The team played all right last night. Like, we had talked about last night after the game. They played well. There were some self-inflicted problems and, mixed metaphors here. They shot themselves in the foot and cost themselves the game. But there was some upside. And I think part of what you and I had talked about in recent weeks was more the size of Mora's buyout was going to be an obstacle, at least in Dan Guerrero's mind, to letting him go. Dan Guerrero's retirement a year from now was going to be an obstacle because this is the 4th coach Guerrero has fired now in his tenure. And Guerrero, and I say this not disrespectfully, but factually, Guerrero is a man of great vanity. He likes to be thought of well in the athletic director community across the country. And firing 4 coaches, even by SEC standards, that may be common course. In the Pac-12, boy, that doesn't happen very often. And so I am surprised by the timing. If a change was going to be made, I thought it would have been done after the Cal game, before a potential bowl game, or before they were done for the season. I'm surprised it was done today on Mora's birthday, nonetheless.
Oh boy, that's happy birthday there, Jim.
Happy birthday, Jim Mora. It is his birthday today, and he got his walking papers.
That's an interesting side note. It's been a rough year or so for Jim Mora, and people will, when met with that statement, will automatically go to the buyout and the amount of money made and that sort of thing. And I get it, but money only goes so far. So it's been a rough year regardless in his personal and professional life. That aside, in regards to the trigger was pulled, this is the decision. Would you have, in Dan Guerrero's position, pulled the trigger and fired Jim Mora, or would you have given him another season?
I would have let him go because I think that, next year is a start over at UCLA to a large degree anyway, because it's year 1 in the post-Josh Rosen era. And so if you're Dan Guerrero, you've got a chance to bring in something fresh, bring in something new. The recruiting class is going to be interesting to see if it holds together. I tend to think, based on what I've talked to some people just since this happened in the last hour or so, and there is a thought that the recruiting class will mostly hold together, may and likely even improve, because if you think about it, you and I talked about maybe about a week ago, UCLA had 4 decommits in the last 2 weeks as the program was kind of unraveling. So this is likely to help quite a bit. Obviously, it depends on where you go. The wild card in the recruiting process going forward is, for the first time, there's an early signing period in college football, December 20th. And that's going to be a real telltale sign. It's only a month away all of a sudden. And are you going to have someone new at the helm in time for these kids to know who they're signing with? Are you not going to have much of a signing class on the 20th because you don't have a coach yet? Jed Fish won't know what his long-term status is. There are a lot of variables at play with regards to the timing. One of the things that I would point out, and I caught the last part of Mike Regalato's time with you, but I don't know if this was referenced earlier on, is the search committee that is in place to do this. You have Associate Athletic Director Josh Rebholz. You have Troy Aikman, the UCLA legend, and you have Casey Wasserman. Now, Wasserman is the linchpin to Mora getting fired, quite frankly. Casey Wasserman is a UCLA alum. He is a renowned is the head of a renowned sports and talent agency. He put up a good chunk of the money for the new UCLA football facilities on campus, the practice and training facilities, which is named after him. He was always going to be the one that was going to determine if the money was there or not. Obviously, the school doesn't really pay the buyout. The boosters kick in, they do what they need to do. And Wasserman was always going to be the linchpin to that. The fact that Mora was fired tells me Wasserman was done with him, and Wasserman will fork out a good chunk of the $11 to $12 million that's due, and he's now part of the search committee for the next coach. So kind of tells you UCLA has invited a booster into the inner circle at a level that is very uncharacteristic of UCLA over the past 30 years, to be at this high a level. And yeah, before everyone goes to Sam Gilbert in basketball, yeah, I know. But at this level, to be involved in the coaching search and things of that nature. So the timing, the people involved, there's a lot of fast moving parts in this story right now. It's not just coach was fired, who's next. There's a lot of interaction going on right here.
The early signing period that you mentioned in recruiting that's taken hold now and established for the first time here in 2017, this may be a byproduct of that didn't necessarily cross my mind, that administrations may want to get the jump on getting on to the next coach so that they can get recruiting and there can be a man in place on the sideline for recruits to draw to and make that commitment. Otherwise, when you're in limbo, that's not a good recruiting tool whatsoever. And the early signing period is going to be something that's going to have an impact on recruiting in a number of ways.